If you want to grow your business while also having free time, then you're going to be needing people. But not just any kind of people, right kind of people. But the right kind of people are not necessarily the best people. After watching this video, you will learn why. Make sure to subscribe to the channel.
Topic is people. So I mean, unless you want to do everything by yourself, then you're going to be needing people. And I mean, there's not many business models where you would not need any people at all. The biggest thing is, I mean, let's say that if you would have only some kind of investing thing doing, maybe you're doing like the, I don't know, day trading or whatever, then I mean, even in that case, it would make sense to have at least some people, for example, like a virtual assistant, so that everything is not dependent on you. And the way to basically buy yourself freedom is to have other people like doing the work for you, because someone needs to do the work. So I mean, as a business owner, it's important that you are able to delegate and you're able to clean up your table. So I mean, clearly, I mean, we need people. But thing is that we need the right people who are not necessarily the best people. So how do you know you have the right people? So this is also part of scaling up framework. So let's go through it. So if you want to grow your company 10x, you have to grow your people 10x as well. And key question really is that would you enthusiastically rehire everyone you're involved with in the organization? And I know I wouldn't, so I have made plenty of mistakes in hiring like the wrong people. I mean, it's not necessarily about the people themselves, but it's something that, okay, I mean, this person is not right for this role. I mean, this role is not right for that person. And Jim Collins, I mean, I've been quoting this a lot, but I mean, he's known to be saying this, that the first job of a leader is to get the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people in the right seats. So let's talk about these right people. So who are these right people? So I mean, General Patton had a good saying that if everyone is thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking. And this is a really like important point. And I mean, personally, I pretty much like hate yes people. I don't want people who are just humoring me and basically just pleasing me and always telling me yes. And if you are like fill your company with those kind of people, then I mean, it's not going to be a strong business. It's not going to be a strong culture, because people are not basically afraid to, I mean, they are afraid to probably make mistakes or afraid to speak up. So it's not going to be this kind of like strong culture. So instead, we basically want to have people who are not afraid to ask questions. So this also means that they are not assuming things, because I mean, we all know what happens when we assume. Usually we make the false conclusions and we make mistakes, and basically we are just going to be ending up with chaos. And people really have to be comfortable in asking questions all the time. So it means that they are also like questioning you, that, okay, what do you mean with this? Like, why should we do this? Like, what benefit does this give to the company? This also means that there's no suffering in silence. So what is suffering in silence? Well, it basically means that if you're having a problem, then you're not just dwelling on this by yourself. And of course, it's typical that, I mean, I do it myself as well. So if I have some kind of big problem, then first I will try to get it like fixed by myself. But if it's something that I'm not able to like handle on my own, then I mean, I need to speak up and to tell other people about it and get help and really get help in figuring out the situation and defining the problem, defining the solution, and so on. And actually, I remember I was working in one corporate like years ago, and there was this one freelancer guy who was basically came asking about some, I don't know, some server stuff or whatever. I mean, he was having some kind of problem, and I was just basically giving him the answer. And okay, that's it. But then what happens is that like 1 week later, he came back and asking the same thing because he hadn't like understood my instructions. So he was basically suffering in silence for 1 week. And so, I mean, just imagine if you have these kind of people in your company, it's just gonna like destroy the culture, because he could have just figured it out in like immediately, but instead that person like took 1 week just to come back to me and tell me that yeah, I didn't understand your like original instructions or whatever. And you want people who are not afraid to challenge you. So key thing for a business owner is that you must be comfortable in being confronted, being challenged. And thing is that I mean, people, it's good to have this kind of healthy debates going on. So that means that people are not afraid of confrontation. So if someone is not following the responsibility process, or if someone is not really abiding, following the core values, then people need to speak up that, hey man, what you just did, that, I mean, that's not cool. That's not really according to our core values. And then you start this discussion that people like talk to each other and say that, hey, I mean, is this really, I mean, when you see this happening, then you also see that your core values are actually working and you're building a better company culture. And there is no such thing as, I mean, having neutral impact on the company culture, meaning every single person in your company is either making the company culture better or worse. There is no neutral impact. So that means that every single person should be actually having a good impact on the company culture. And then, I mean, personally, I don't want people who are like too concerned of what others think of them, because that means that they are avoiding this vulnerability and they are pretty much having like big egos and like really too much, they concern too much like what other people think of them, and what if they say this or that, and what if someone actually doesn't like them. So these are the things that we don't want. So instead, we want a person who is aligned with the company culture, wows you, and doesn't need to be managed. So it means that per person must be like fully capable in doing stuff on his or her own and really get the stuff done. And wowing, I mean, that delivering wow, that's actually one the first core value we have, because it's really important that people put a lot of attention in delivering quality work, and really like building this culture that, hey, I have a task right now, but I mean, it's not just enough that I just get it done. I really want to impress other people. So scaling up has this function accountability chart. So it basically means that you have like different columns there. So first column is that basically different functions. And I mean, keep in mind that even though, I mean, this is not necessarily that applicable to you yet. I mean, depending on what kind of state you are with your business. Because if you're just starting out and if you just have a like small team, then I mean, it might not actually make sense for you, because it might actually mean, I mean, when you are actually getting more people, then you are going to be needing to put more attention to these things. Because if you are not, I mean, it's not the end of the world if you are not putting any attention to this, but it is going to mean that it's going to cost you more, and you're going to be actually using more time on different things, and it actually might be pretty chaotic. So first column is the different functions, and second column is that you actually name the person accountable for this function. And then number 3 is that you list different key KPIs for this function. And then fourth one is that you basically define the outcome of this role. So what is the impact on the profit and loss and balance sheet and cash flow and things like this. So the critical question there is that, do you have each role in your company clearly assigned to one individual, and are there any blank roles? Because this is a good way to figure out that, even if you have a small team, it's a good exercise because it will clearly tell you if you have something missing. And it goes without saying, like, does each person in your company know their specific responsibilities? And I actually remember reading some horrific statistic. The workforce in the US, people don't know when they come to work that what is really expected from them, like how they do, how can they do good work and what are their responsibilities. And that's really like a catastrophic situation if your people don't know what is really like expected from them and how can they actually do great work. So that's
I just want to add here quickly that doing this corporate huge list of responsibilities don't work either. It just doesn't work. You give people like 40 things, you write down a huge list of things and then you expect them to do it. No, the way it works is that you, as I was speaking before about this, that you build these SOPs of core processes that they need to own and improve. And these core processes already have all these responsibilities inside of them, right? And just want to say that avoid writing huge list of responsibilities on job descriptions and job ads, because they don't work anyway.
Yeah, and the more responsibilities you have, the less likely you are to do actually a good job in each of them. So less is definitely more, and it comes back down to mastery. Like, the less responsibilities you have, the people have, the more likely people are able to develop this mastery. So, then the roles come with KPIs. It needs to be like measurable in one way or another. And then
I just want to add on to the KPI stuff as well, guys. For example, VA not necessarily doesn't need to have a KPI, right? But if you have a KPI, then a KPI is a beautiful way to measure roles' performance. So if you don't have a KPI for that role, that can also measure its performance with OKRs or big projects.
Yeah, so we can take a look at different functions there are. Like there's like marketing, R&D, sales, operations, treasury, IT, HR, talent development, which is basically different training stuff, and customer advocacy and things like that. So you can basically add your own, but what it means that they are like crucial to the business operations. And yeah, it's basically identifying who is responsible for which thing. And then it's good to ask that, okay, are there more than one person in a seat in a function? And basically, if you're just a one man show, it means that your name is on all of this. And that's not necessarily a problem. It just means that basically everything depends on you, and you are the one who basically has to think about all this different stuff. And like I said, it's not doing this, it's not going to really stop you in growing your business. But what is going to happen, that it's going to cost you more money and cost you more time, and things can be pretty chaotic, like once you really start getting your business to the next level and you get like grow bigger and bigger. Yes. So, and yeah, basically, are there any empty seats? And yeah, these different KPIs. So, I mean, once you have the right people and know that they are doing these right things with the KPIs, then yeah, I mean, it's about good thing to consider on the last column that, I mean, what is really the impact on in terms of like what is the financial impact that this role or responsibility is doing? And it's easy to measure with some of these things, like for example, sales, but when you think about like customer support and HR, then it requires some more thinking, like what is really the outcome. And yeah, I mean, since we are talked about like financial statements, it would be like actually useful to have this who column, like who is accountable for this. So I mean, assigning person to this, it's Lime means that you are going to be putting more attention on this item. And if it's what usually is that, I mean, the more attention you put into something, I mean, the more it's basically going to grow like profit. So, I mean, have the right people doing the right things, as a result, doing them right to get revenue growth, margin profit, and the cash that you're expecting. And it's actually a nice way of thinking is that sales and marketing will be accountable for revenue. Operations will be accountable for gross margin, and over this profitability. And then head of the company has to make sure that all these KPIs numbers are, first of all, that they actually make sense, that and they are met. And since I mean, we have talked about before about this key core processes. So basically, by identifying this, I mean, every business has this like core processes that basically drive the business. So what it means is that basically by improving this core process, things are going to be going like better, faster, and cheaper. So it's really vital to have this. I mean, things might be fine if you are going like on this steady pace, but especially if you are in this stage of like this exponential growth, which might really happen with this when you are selling on Amazon. Then these core processes are something that are actually going to support your growth. So
the core processes are usually usually they're recurring actions. Just remember that they not necessarily, but if it's something is recurring all the time to keep the engine producing cash, then usually it's the core process. It's not all of them, of course. Yeah, just think about it.
Yes, and a pretty typical way for a lot of leaders to fix a problem is that I mean, just throw more people at the problem, and that's really seldom like a good way to actually solve the problem, and it's just going to make more chaos. So if you identify these, I mean, 4 to 9 processes, but I would say, I mean, just start with 1 and 2 and so on, because simplifying is really important, like when you're growing in a faster pace.
Yeah, core processes for example, reordering on Amazon business. How do you do reorders? Also, how do you do inspections? How do you manage shipments? Right?
Yes, but
in our case also we have a core processes as how we do listings. You know, we made processes about these as well, right?
Yes, but I would suggest actually going even deeper to it, meaning that it's not just one isolated item. So I mean, one Amazon business is like, okay, we need to make sales happen, but what is basically the one process that is able to make this happen? Like, what needs to be in place that we are all able to make a sale on Amazon? And yeah, I mean, then really assigning person for this this process to track, recognize these challenges and really measure the results, and then identifying these key KPIs. Because that means that the process is running better, faster, and cheaper. And the key metric is really speed. If you can speed up a process, then generally the quality will go up and down. So, and I mean, this is actually when you work in a quarter, 90 days, like 90-day cycles, then it's good to actually identify that, hey, on this 90-day cycle, I'm going to be focusing on this specific process. So, I mean, whichever area you're focused on in the quarterly theme, then, I mean, just pick a related process to give this real alignment in the organization. So, I mean, typically these core processes are like cross-departmental. So it's not all about supply chain, or it's not all about sales and marketing. It should be something that basically goes through different things. And it's really typical that there's like handovers from different teams. Like, let's say that your logistics is doing one thing, and then they hand it over to like the marketing person who's basically working on the listings and that kind of stuff. And then maybe there's another handover in terms of like advertising and those kind of things. So I mean, these core processes typically, I mean, rarely really have an accountable leader to oversee. And it's really vital to optimize this execution. And I mean, like I mentioned, I mean, just start with one and just make it better, faster, and cheaper. So what is the one key process your company cannot function without? And it has to be about making money, because I mean, the business has to make money in order to exist, pretty much. But anyway, I mean, now we know who we need, but how do we get those people? Well, that's a good question, and I will answer it next time.
Do you agree or disagree? Let me know your thoughts. If you like this video, then hit a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you need my help on your business, then sign up for my free training.